Welcome back. We're continuing our study through salvation, and in this lesson we're going to look at the work of the Lord in the life of the believer. See, those who believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ are predestined to be conformed to his very image. That's what Romans shares with us. And this miraculous work of God in the life of the believer is a profound and spiritual work, and that becomes the focus of this chapter. So if we consider the end goal, Christ-likeness, there is a profound shift that must take place in the life of every believer. Although this side of eternity, the work will not be fully realized, we must take time to recognize that there will be a profound, even miraculous shift that happens through this spiritual work. So I'd encourage you, read through Erickson's argument and take note of the following. Erickson takes some time developing what exactly sanctification is, and so it would be wise to read through this carefully and ensure that you understand his arguments here. At the end of this chapter, we expect you to know exactly what sanctification is, what this means both theoretically as well as practically. And so consider the issues of holiness and sanctification, the moral implications, the difference between sanctification and justification. Now, before looking at the Christian life, Erickson looks at sanctification, whether it is complete or incomplete. And here he dives into the argument between perfectionism and perfectionism. Obviously, Erickson leans on the side of non-perfectionism. However, his engagement here is helpful in the goal of the Christian, which is to aim at becoming more and more like Jesus. In other words, we should aim to sin less. It's a great kind of section. From here, Erickson looks at the Christian life and what a joy it is to know more in depth our union with the Lord, our relationship that he offers us, and how he enables us to obey him more and more. In fact, this chapter holds up to us to the light to see the wonder and the joy that is available to every believer. I'm always convicted that the fact that the Spirit is working in me daily to make me more and more like Jesus. What a joy! What a joy to study this again. Erickson finishes off this chapter by engaging what sanctification looks like for the Old Testament saint. And the argument is helpful here, once again, to consider the wonder of the cross, of having the cross, and having that so clear to us, and also the wonder of the Spirit dwelling in us so that we can become what God has destined us to. One thing we can consider as we study this section is that the Lord is bringing into our lives such an amazing work. And so we could consider, what are we actually adding to that? Are we working out our salvation with fear and trembling, or are we frustrating it by the choices that we make? And so as I would encourage you, particularly in this section, I'd encourage you to, again, worship while you study.